Let me talk to the men out there listening real quick. Guys, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction, fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, sleep disturbances? Hey, low libido, ask your girlfriend or wife. She'll let you know if you're suffering from that or not. That's sex drive. If you'll text my name, Clay, in all caps to 601-327-8550, 601-327-8550, Men's Health of Mississippi and the Clay Edwards Show are going to hook you up with a free testosterone screening. They're located in Madison, Mississippi at 120 Fountains Boulevard. You can check them out online, menshealthms.com. But one more time, text my name, all caps, Clay, to 601-327-8550 and get your free testosterone screening scheduled today. Enjoy the rest of this show. Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the Free Range Human Show of Choice, your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. We are live on 103.9 FM, WYAB, here in central Mississippi, pumping all across the FM airwaves, all throughout the Tri-County area at least. Streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app. Just search, and Alexa, just search WYAB. And, of course, we are streaming in 4K video on all of my social platforms. X at SaveJXN, Facebook at SaveJXN, YouTube at SaveJXN, and, of course, Rumble, the little free speech platform over there, at SaveJXN, across all platforms. Now, we got that all situated, was able to get the name on Rumble as well. So, tune in, hit the share button. We got a big show today planned. We got a guest from the first hour, and then we have two guests in the second hour. We don't normally do that, but hey, it is Thanksgiving week, and we're going to have a good old time. We got, if you're watching on the camera now, you see this finely dressed individual sitting across from me, chairman of the Mississippi Republican Party, Mr. Mike Hurst, former U.S. attorney here in the Southern District. Mike, how's it going this morning?
Good morning, Clay. How are you doing, man?
Man, I am doing good. It is a special election Tuesday here in central Mississippi. Your headphones good? You good?
No.
No?
There we go.
Okay, cool. So it's a special election Tuesday. We got a chance to take a Supreme Court seat. I mean, I know it's a nonpartisan race, you know.
Yeah,
but I think
everything in life is, right? Nonpartisan.
Yeah, 100%. I got out and absentee voted, as I am out of town here today in Florida, Mississippi. From Brandon, 3 towns over. That's out of town.
Oh, look, I drove over this morning. It's way out of town.
From downtown Brandon to here, it is a road trip.
Yeah.
It is indeed a road trip. First off, I don't know why we don't have early voting. Hopefully we'll get that situated here in the next session, or at least by the next round of statewide elections. But with all that said, I got out, I absentee voted, and there was a big turnout in Rankin County.
Yep.
I think through Tuesday of last week? I think through Thursday, through close of business Thursday at Rankin County, I was told like 2,500 people that got out and voted. I mean, just for, to compare that, only a little over 3,000 voted in the last mayor's race over there in Brandon. Now, granted, I know it's the whole county versus just Brandon, but still, I think that's for a special election.
Right.
I thought that was big.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I mean, everybody needs to be reminded we have a runoff election day here in the central part of the state in the Mississippi Supreme Court. And as you said, having those early votes being cast is huge. And I think I looked at the numbers yesterday for Rankin County, and I think we were up to 3,000 already for Rankin County. Now, absentee ballot ended Saturday, but today is the big day. Today is election day. Man, I would encourage all your listeners to get out and vote. As you said, we have a huge opportunity to make our Supreme Court more responsive to the will of the people, to make sure that we have justices on the court who actually follow the Constitution, the state Constitution, follow the laws enacted by the legislature, and not just make up stuff that we've seen over the last few years of this particular Supreme Court justice that we're trying to get voted out of office.
Do you have some examples of that?
Yeah, one example that I think will resonate, especially with you and your listeners, Clay, is that when the legislature tried to create the Capitol Complex District Courts, Justice Jim Kitchens on the Mississippi Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional to create those inferior courts. Now, the Supreme Court itself said, it was unconstitutional to put, for the Supreme Court Chief Justice to put in place these unelected judges. But they said the legislature has authority to create inferior courts, but Justice Kitchen says no. In this case, they did not have that authority. And so he was an impediment to trying to create courts, additional courts in the city of Jackson to try to address the unlawfulness, the illegality, all the crime that is being committed in Jackson inside the new Capitol Complex District. For the life of me, having been the U.S. Attorney, the Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer over half of our state, including Jackson, having been just a line federal prosecutor for almost a decade, I just can't understand why people don't want Jackson to improve. Like I can't understand why they don't want crimes and our laws to be enforced, crimes to be prosecuted in Jackson. And for Justice Kitchens to say that the legislature doesn't have the authority to create new courts when the legislature has clearly done that in the past. I mean, the Mississippi Court of Appeals was created by the legislature. Municipal courts were created by the legislature. So I think that's one thing that will especially resonate with your listeners is that, here's the legislature trying to come up with creative solutions to address crime, and we have someone on the Supreme Court that's an impediment to that.
With my radio show here, I get a chance to speak to a lot of different people, a lot of different walks of life, races, the whole 9 yards. And one thing that I haven't been able to actually run across is somebody who doesn't want to say for Jackson.
Right.
Now, I know the media, sometimes I say the media, the mainstream media, sometimes you have people online, I swear they have to be paid. But they find these people who say these things are racist. But, man, I get plenty of black callers that call in, A, thank me for what we do here,
right,
kind of being a voice, and B, all supported HB 1020
right,
in every aspect of it.
Right.
Like, why is this racist? It's almost racist to suggest it's racist because you're gonna automatically suggesting who would be committing the crime, in my opinion. But
in my experience is there's two kind of tracks. There's one track where what you just said, which is everybody's in favor of a safer Jackson.
Sure. When
they speak. But the second track is some of the politicians and some of the elected officials in Jackson. I've seen it as the U.S. Attorney. They talk a good line. They say we want to save for Jackson. We need to enforce laws, but then their actions don't back up their talk.
And that's 100% true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the perfect example of that is when we first started Project Eject, our violent crime initiative in Jackson, when I became U.S. Attorney in 2017, we had all the support, all the input of JPD, the mayor, everything, and we were breaking records in terms of the prosecutions we were bringing to violent crime in Jackson. And we did that the first probably 2.5 years I was U.S. Attorney. But as we started doing that, and actually violent crime started falling in the city of Jackson. It's not really talked about much, but we have documented statistics showing violent crime falling in the city of Jackson those first couple of years. But then I don't know if the mayor didn't like what we were doing. He was getting pushed back from the extreme left and his constituency in Harlem or Detroit or Miami where he visits now. For whatever reason, he started pulling back JPD. And despite the men and women on the ground at JPD who wanted to do this, who loved doing this, who loved enforcing the law and doing their jobs, their leadership really started pulling back, and we started getting less participation. The perfect example of this is in 2020, the last year I was U.S. Attorney, we were prosecuting all carjackings. We said, if you have a carjacking in Jackson, we will prosecute it. It's a federal crime, we will prosecute it. And we had been doing that for the last 2.5 years. In 2020, mid-year, in July of 2020, it was reported to me that Jackson had approximately 54 carjackings in the first 6 months of 2020. Wow. 0 of those cases had been brought to our office to prosecute. That's what I'm talking about, pulling back. You got politicians saying we want to save for Jackson, but then you don't have the actions to back that up.
Right. But you let an officer be within a football field of a man dying, and they're going to send them to jail.
Yeah, that's right. But back to Kitchens, I mean, the two things that I think really resonated with me when I started digging into this election and this campaign was, one, he has been endorsed by the Southern Poverty Law Center, who you may recall was the employer of our good district attorney, Jody Owens, and has done a lot of really bad things out there, like calling the American Family Association a terrorist group.
They called Moms for Liberty a terrorist group, too.
Yes.
I have called them in the Clay Edwards realm. They're a terrorist group.
Yeah, so that group, the Southern Poverty Law Center, has endorsed Jim Kitchen. The second thing that I think especially we as constitutional conservatives need to know is the Honorable Congressman Benny Thompson has endorsed Jim Kitchens. Now, your listeners may recall that Benny Thompson is the one who employed the staffer that encouraged the shooter, the assassin of President Trump, to practice more and not miss next time. Yep. He's the same congressman that introduced legislation, said we need to take Secret Service protection away from President Donald Trump. He's the same congressman that instituted the January 6th commission or committee to investigate all this stuff and to do it in a partisan way to try to implicate Republicans in Donald Trump. That's the same congressman who has endorsed Jim Kitchens for the Mississippi Supreme Court.
Say no more.
I mean, to me, that alone, those two endorsements alone shows that we do not need this man on the Mississippi Supreme Court. He was elected. He was first elected to office before you and I were born.
Yep.
1971. And if he gets reelected, the listeners need to know this is an 8-year term. And if he gets reelected, he's going to be almost 90 years old. He and Joe Biden are practically the same age, and we don't need that on our Mississippi Supreme Court.
I got a mailer in the other day, and I posted it to my Facebook, but I'm just going to read it, folks. On one side, it's like, Jennifer Branning voted against equal pay for equal work. If Jennifer Branning didn't look out for us in the Senate, why would she look out for us on the Supreme Court? And then on the flip side, it's got a young family here, and it says, Justice Jim Kitchens gets it, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that I thought was interesting, A, it doesn't show his 81-year-old butt on here anywhere, and B, it was paid for. And if this doesn't sound like a 1800s dog whistle, I don't know what does. The New Southern Majority.
Oh wow!
That for a group that likes to call everybody racist, that sounds very right. The New Southern Majority.
Yeah.
When I think Dixiecrat, I think New Southern Majority.
Oh.
I don't know who they are, what pack they are, or whatever, but it sounds terrible.
No, it sounds terrible, and for them not to really, say who they are, but do that is kind of. That shows you exactly all you need to know. The third thing I will say about Jim Kitchens is, your listeners may have heard of this internet, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a blog. It's called Mississippi Today. It writes some news articles, I think.
It's a little it's a little Democrat fanzine, I think.
Even Mississippi Today, as liberal leaning as they are, they have specifically referred to Jim Kitchens as one of two, quote, reliable liberals, close quote, on the Mississippi Supreme Court. Yeah. Again, that's the Mississippi Today calling Jim Kitchens a, quote, reliable liberal. Again, I think our listeners need to know this is not nonpartisan. I mean, everything we do, people are always like, well, I don't vote labels, I don't vote parties. Well, if you vote for or against someone based upon what they believe, you're voting on principle. You're voting, and all the parties are a collection of those principles. And so we, as the Mississippi Republican Party, we looked at both candidates and we decided Jennifer Branning is the one who reflects our principles, reflects our values, and that's the one that we think Mississippians should support in the Mississippi Supreme Court race.
I have no problem with the parties getting behind a candidate. I mean, look, it would be sticking your head in the sand and pretending that she's not already a member of the party.
That's right.
I mean, let's not play that game.
No, I know.
And
it's kind of childish to play those games, honestly.
It really is. We're all adults.
That's
here.
right.
We've been begging for the adults to get back in the room. We're here now. So let's break the fourth wall, as they say in TV. Let's acknowledge she's a conservative.
Right.
And let's move on about it. I mean, I see that there's people on radio here that have complained about her getting money and raising money. Well, you gotta raise money to win.
Yeah.
You have to. That's just he raised money from the trial attorneys, was my understanding.
Well, not just the trial attorneys. I mean, huge amounts. Most of his money has come from trial attorneys, but trial attorneys outside the state of Mississippi. So, Clay, why would trial attorneys outside the state of Mississippi be supporting a Mississippi Supreme Court justice?
Hoping to get some things passed that don't benefit Mississippians.
Maybe. Or maybe hoping to file some lawsuits and, get to the Supreme Court and have huge paydays, huge payouts. I think when you look at individuals running for office, you need to look at where those campaign contributions come from. And when someone has that much money coming from out of state, you really need to question, what's behind that.
Well, we often refer to, out-of-state dark money. When it comes to stuff like the initiative process and all that. It's one of the reasons why the initiative process hasn't been brought back, because they're worried about dark money coming in and maybe getting abortion passed and some other things, marijuana. recreational marijuana and some other stuff. So it's all things you got to watch out for if you're against those things.
Right. That's right.
All right, let's take our first break. We've got Chairman of the Mississippi Republican Party, Mr. Mike Hurst, in here. I'm going to see if I can shake Mike down and have a good conversation, get some Jackson stories out of him from his time as U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We will be right back on 103.9 FM, WYAB. If you guys want to chime in this morning, the Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. If you got any questions for Mike, if you're watching online, drop your questions in the comments, and we'll try to get those answered as well. The Mazda of Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, here with Mike Hurst, Chairman of the Mississippi Republican Party, on WYAB this morning. This segment going to be brought to you by my friends out there at Mazda of Jackson. Guys, give it a Mazda of Jackson, because there's never been a better time to buy a Mazda. And the best deals around are right here in Jackson at Mazda of Jackson. Mazda is one of the top 5 most dependable brands on the roads, and Mazda of Jackson has hundreds of new and used cars available right now. Check out all their low APR financing they have for available for up to 72 months on all the different models. You can check out their website, MazdaofJackson.com, to get those specific details today. Also, did you know that Mazdas all come with a lifetime powertrain warranty? That's right. And I'm telling you, as a guy that spent 12 years in the car business, you got an opportunity to get a lifetime powertrain warranty with a new vehicle. Son, you better take it. And just keep the oil change wherever you buy it from. I think there's a few little odd and little details that you got to do, but it's legitimate. They're the real deal. I've worked at the dealership long enough to see people get motors replaced on a 200,000-mile vehicle because they had that lifetime powertrain warranty. So it is legitimate. You don't want to have to go buy a motor at any point in time on a vehicle, I promise. Anyway, shop them in person. Right there at Briarwood Drive and Frontage Road off 55. Go see my buddy Grady Portera over there. Also, I did see the other day, Mazda of Jackson is hiring. If you want to work for a great locally owned dealership, Mazda of Jackson. I know some good car salesmen that I've worked with over the years that have been there for an extended amount of time, which tells me they're good people to work for. They pay you right, and they treat you right. So consider employment there at Mazda of Jackson. Shop them online, MazdaofJackson.com. All right, I got Mike Hurst here in the studio. Mike, I've got to know you a little bit over the last year or so, and we've done a couple of these and been at some functions and events and stuff. And I knew who you were from your time as U.S. Attorney, seeing you on the news and all that when I was just a guy that talked crap on the internet, and still am, but I've expanded that. Yeah. And I was always a fan of what you were doing, and being a lifelong Jacksonian, I really appreciated what you were doing. And now you're in your new role as chairman of the Mississippi GOP or Mississippi Republican Party, whatever folks want to call it. I was at one of your meetings the other day when it was like your first yearly executive meeting. I forget the technical name for the meeting, and you talked about something that it got me fired up. And it was like kind of this grassroots thing about getting back into the communities, the smaller communities, not forgetting those. And don't forget that fight never ends. And fellow that just ran for governor here in Mississippi, Brandon Presley's gotten a lot of money. Got a lot of money from the Democrats to come in, and they're trying to flip some of these municipalities blue.
Yep.
And what can we do to kind of fight that fight and help prevent that?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. What most of my friends and family, we all naturally focus on the presidential election. I mean, that's huge. It gets all the attention. It gets the national news. But honestly, I mean, what we have to remember is that the things that probably most affect our lives are what happens right outside our back door with our mayoral elections, our city, council elections, board of supervisor elections, and next year we have. I know this is we're three weeks away from the presidential election, but next year we have our municipal elections here in Mississippi, and it might not be on a lot of people's radar, but I can tell you it is on the Democrats' radar. And Brandon Presley, as you mentioned, who ran for governor against our governor Tate Reeves in 23. Raised a lot of money from outside groups. I want to say like almost 85% of his money came from outside the state of Mississippi. But he is also using some of that money and getting more money to create a political action committee to try to go after these municipal elections. And again, it's kind of a sleeper strategy, which is smart, which is brilliant. But we as conservatives have to wake up and we have to see what they're doing. The DNC raised so much money for Kamala Harris's campaign. Over $1 billion, I think, is what has been reported.
What they spent was over $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, that's right. And so the Democrats are already funneling some of that money back to Mississippi. I read a news article a couple of weeks ago about the Mississippi Democratic Party had received $300,000 from the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, just to do communications strategy. And so you will see a lot of their, social media, a lot of their press releases all have picked up over the last few months because of this influx of money. And you can expect that's what we're going to see over the next 6 months as we prepare for municipal elections. And Presley's already been, he's been transparent and saying this is what he's doing and this is what he's going after. He specifically referenced the city of Gulfport as a perfect example. He said, right now, Billy Hughes, a Republican, is the mayor of Gulfport. But Brandon Presley actually won the city of Gulfport 56-44 when he ran for governor. And so that's something that we as conservatives, again, should be waking up to, that we can't take for granted, just because we have a Republican mayor in office, we can't take for granted that that city or that municipality is going to elect another Republican. We've got to get off our couches, get off our butts, and get to work. And it's going to be a lot of work over the next 6 months.
But anybody who thinks that that the Democrats won't continue to pursue that, look at what's happened in Jackson, Mississippi. There is no low enough that these people look at and say, okay, enough's enough.
Yep.
They're like, I want more of it. I want everybody to bathe and marinate in my misery.
Yep.
And they want to expand that throughout the state. And we got to get up and we got to fight. We've got to get better at raising money. One thing I would give the Democrats is, A, they're smart strategically. Strategically,
right.
They're smart. They make a lot of bad decisions. But B, they raise money, and it's like this blue team. That's what they tried with Kamala, I think. They thought Team Blue was big enough that it was blue no matter who.
Right.
And we're going to win this thing. We're just going to bulldoze our way through. And thankfully, Americans saw it through that.
Right.
And got out and voted, especially our women and our black and brown brothers and sisters who got out there and helped see through it a little bit and, saved America.
Yeah, that's one of the most encouraging things I've seen, that this generation coming up is not the generations of the past. And what I mean by that is they don't see race like maybe our forefathers saw race. They see results. They see going to the grocery store and their bills going up. They see going to the gas pump and their prices going up. They see that finally, the Republican Party is delivering. And the Democratic parties have been promising and promising and promising for decades and have not delivered. And they're kind of waking up to that, which is exciting. But one thing that I've found in being chairman of the Republican Party over the last 6 months is it's almost like we as Republicans, or we as a party, have been a victim of our own success. And what I mean by that is we've got every statewide elected office is Republican. We've got a supermajority in the House and the Senate are Republican. But we also have to have this apparatus called the Mississippi Republican Party to do the old school blocking and tackling of Republican politics. And what I mean by that is, making phone calls, doing the phone banks, going door to door, doing the traditional get out the vote efforts. Those things individual candidates can do, but we as a party are necessary in order to facilitate, coordinate, and make sure that gets done. Because again, we've got municipal elections next year. Obviously, we're going to have Republican candidates in all those races, but at the same time, we need a cohesive, holistic strategy to try to help all of those individuals and not just have an individual, one-off, if you will.
So obviously it comes down to raising money.
Sadly, it always comes back to money. You can't do TV ads. You can't do radio ads. You can't, help with, helping volunteers offset their cost of what they're doing. It all comes back to money. And we as a party, we have to raise money in order to do this. Signs are not free. Advertising is not free. In order to get the word out, we have to raise money.
Now, if I remember correctly, you were talking about, y'all have a system in place where people can commit like $5 a month, $10 a month on a recurring type deal. How can they go sign up, and how can people get into whether it's a small monthly commitment or a one-time commitment, a large monthly, whatever? How can people commit?
Yeah, and thank you. That's a great question. If you go to msgop.org, msgop.org. When you pull up our website, it'll pop up an opportunity for you to get involved in what we call it the United Republican Fund. And this was something that was set out decades ago, but basically it allows an individual to sign up to have a recurring monthly a donation to the Mississippi Republican Party. And all that does is allows us to have a revenue stream that we can afford staff, that we can pay for all those things I talked about without us having to do fundraisers every now and then. That's something that gives us some certainty as we try to plan, as we try to go forward in educating, empowering, and electing Republicans throughout the state of Mississippi. So, yeah, go to msgop.org, click on United Republican Fund, and sign up to help us keep Mississippi red.
And all that money stays in Mississippi?
All that money stays in Mississippi, absolutely.
I like it. Let's take a break. We got Mike Hurst, chairman of the Mississippi Republican Party, here in the studio with us. It is a special election Tuesday. We're here to remind everybody, get out and go vote here in Central Mississippi. We got a chance to flip a Supreme Court seat to a conservative. We need to take advantage of that as this opportunity presents itself, because it won't happen again for 8 years unless there ends up having to be a special election for some sort with Mr. Kitchens. So he is 81 years old, so you never know. Anyhow, this is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show, here live on WYAB. Of course, streaming online at WYAB.com, as well as in 4K on video at Save Jackson, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. We've got former U.S. Attorney and current chairman of the Mississippi Republican Party, Mr. Mike Hurst, here in the studio. We're going to get to a couple stories with Mike here in just a second. But first, I'll tell you about my friends over at Boykin Contractors in Florence, Mississippi. Do you know Boykin can do construction, roofing, remodeling, additions, repairs, and they do it all over the metro area. They're based out of Florence, Mississippi, so you know they're good local folks. They got tons of satisfied and repeat customers. Mr. Bryce Boykin, he is licensed, bonded, and insured with the Mississippi Board of Contractors. He's also a Christian, and he operates his business as a Christ-centered company with honesty and integrity. You can contact Bryce today at 601-951-7336 or check him out online. Just Google or Facebook search Boykin, B-O-Y-K-I-N, Contractors, Florence, Mississippi. All right, we got Mike Hurst here in the studio. Mike, I did have a question here in the chat. I think it was from Mike, possibly. Yeah, from Adam. He says, Mike, can Trump fire every U.S. attorney on day one?
Yes.
Yep, just that simple. Hopefully there's some that he will. I will say that. Man, we're excited to get Trump in. I think we try to simmer expectations a little because it's like the last 4 years we've taken a beating.
Yeah.
I don't expect complete wonders on day one, but there's a few.
Well, the speed in which he is nominating people, the quality of his nominations are just incredible. I know a lot of these individuals, and they are going to do a fantastic job. Pam Bondi is going to be a great Attorney General of the United States. Probably what I'm most excited about is Vivek and Elon being in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency. I mean, that has the potential, and with those two at the helm, really, and this is not hyperbole, to transform our country and transform our lives for the better. I mean, when you start getting, some of these stories, especially the story about the Supreme Court case that just overturned what's known as Chevron deference. Basically, it just means the courts would give deference to bureaucrats and administrative agencies on decisions they made.
These state agencies, not state, but federal or state agencies like Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, for example, I guess, they can't create laws as unelected officials.
Right. But when the Supreme Court threw that out, the story behind that was basically fishermen going out and fishing. One of the federal agencies decided, we're not only going to put monitors on your boat to make sure you're following federal law, we're going to make you, the fisherman, pay for that monitor. That was the fact pattern that brought down that whole bureaucracy of courts giving deference to administrative agencies. So, what Elon and Vivek are talking about, just completely taking a chainsaw to the federal bureaucracy, I can't even imagine how good that's going to be for us as Americans to get rid of that red tape and to get rid of that, the nanny state, frankly. So
I'm very excited, and I'm sure you being a former federal employee for as long as you were, has had to deal with all that.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's amazing anything gets done.
We had this term inside the federal bureaucracy. It's called RIP, retired in place. And you had some, I mean, look, almost all of the individuals I worked with in the U.S. Attorney's Office when I was just a federal employee were good, decent, hard-working individuals. But as in every organization, you had some individuals who were what we called retired in place, and that means they collected a check. They did the least possible, the minimal they could get by, and because they're federal employees, they're the closest thing to immortality we have on this earth. You can't get rid of them. You can't fire them. So to do more of that and to get more efficiency, I tell people all the time, can you imagine if Chick-fil-A ran the federal government?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the service, thank you. Yeah, it's my pleasure. I mean, that would be incredible, but that's not what we have. But I'm excited about Elon and Vivek taking over that role.
Hey, we got another question here.
Yeah.
I think this is an important one. I wasn't going to do another one, but Matthew Gibson is watching on YouTube, and he says, how to join the GOP in Mississippi ? And he says, and why haven't the Republican Party reached out to black men in the state? I think it is an untapped Democrat that the state GOP has not. He thinks it's an untapped resource.
Yeah,
and I would say that I know for a fact that Rance and them have been down to JSU and set up down there, and they have been trying, at least on the college campuses anyway.
Well, I'm encouraged because, like you said, Jackson State University invited us, the party, to come down, and we went down. I think I was out of town that day, but our staff went down and participated in kind of a campaign event at JSU. A professor at JSU has been reaching out to us, and proxies of the MSGOP have been participating in, debates and other things at JSU. A number of years ago, my predecessor, Frank Bordeaux, the chairman before me, started an initiative to increase minority participation. And Rodney Hall, a new state representative from DeSoto County, African-American Republican, has been put in charge of that. And we've got a small but mighty force of those who are trying to expand that minority outreach. And I think over the next few months, you're going to see more of that from the Mississippi Republican Party. And
we just had a big flip here in the state. Now, he's not an elected official currently. I've got his name right here. I do apologize for not remembering off the top of my head. We just had a big flip from a Democrat. Shawaski Young flipped over from the Democrat Party to Republican. And wrote a nice op-ed about doing it.
Yeah, it was a good op-ed. I haven't spoken with Mr. Young yet. I think we will, obviously. But, if you go back and read that op-ed, I think he is saying a lot of what Democrats are saying right now, which is like, we didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left us. They're not the party of the working man. They're not the party of a small government. They're not the party of everything that maybe your parents or your grandparents thought they were the party of. The Republicans are the ones who are delivering small government. They're delivering, for the working man again. And I think you're going to see a lot more minorities come over to the Republican Party.
And not to bring faith and whatnot into it, but I do think that is a big thing in the black community is the church. Mm-hmm. It is the faith. It was coming up in Big Mama's house and going to church every Sunday. And you grew up like that, but then you got this party that represents everything but that. And I think a lot of people in the black community are seeing that because the black people that I grew up around, I was always the minority. And my friends said, I stayed in Jackson until 3 years ago. Always the minority. And the black people I grew up around were very, very faith driven. And I just, as an American citizen, seeing what's going on with the Democrat Party, I was like, guys, they don't represent y'all anymore at all.
Yeah.
And I do believe that politics should stay out of faith and faith should stay out of politics. When politics decides to get into the church business, I don't have the problem with the church fighting back. Mm-hmm. But seeing that was part of his op-ed was his faith.
Oh, absolutely.
And family and, the nuclear family and what it represents. I felt like the Democrat Party did not represent the nuclear family anymore.
No, I think
it was a really good piece.
Yeah, no, it was a good piece. And I think all those things are exactly right. For whatever reason, the National Democratic Party has just become unmoored to any type of faith or any type of, frankly, common sense. I mean, that was the thing that really resonated with me at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee in July was, this little placard, this little sign they handed out to wave. It says, "Bring back common sense." I mean, how simple, but how prophetic is that, Clay? I mean, just common sense. That's all we're asking for. We're not, as Americans, we're not asking for a whole heck of a lot, just common sense.
Can we promote on meritocracy?
Right. Yeah, I love. There's a clip online of an African American pastor who talks about, we have Democrats want diversity in everything, except in our sports. We're not promoting diversity, equity, inclusion on our sports teams. I would go so far as, are you asking for a DEI hire when you go in for brain surgery? Are you asking for a DEI hire when you take off on a plane? I mean, when it comes to life, death decisions and our sports, we don't look at DEI hires.
It made national news yesterday that Walmart is moving away from and trimming back their DEI stuff. I was shocked to see a mega global corporation like Walmart publicly announce that. I would think you would just kind of trim the fat a little and go on about your business, but they actually made an announcement that they were not abandoning it completely, but shedding a lot of it.
Well, I think you probably will see a lot more of that over the coming weeks after Trump has been elected, after you see the mandate that he's gotten, after you see the fact that the American people are just fed up with all this nonsense. And I think you'll see people coming back and corporations coming back to their senses and getting rid of this whole, woke mandate.
I was telling Anthony and Desmond in here yesterday, Anthony Fox, Desmond Barney, that I don't know if they had necessarily seen it through this lens, but I was talking about the timeline of their indictments being in August of 2020. I said it was the country had George Floyd fever, and I believe that's a big part of the DEI push. It was, and a lot of that was post George Floyd. It was everything was very race driven, very DEI, CRT driven, and I said everybody wanted. Every mayor in a Democrat municipality, they wanted their own George Floyd because they saw the money that came in. They saw the national notoriety that came in for the politicians, the preachers, the pulpit pimps, and just everybody involved. And I think a switch flip. And they're like, you know what, that may have been what happened. I said, well, it played a part in it for sure. And we don't need any more of that.
I think one of the unsung heroes in that such a sad debacle of those prosecutions of Barney and Fox and Lampton was one of the unsung heroes was Judge Faye Peterson. She dismissed that case against Barney and Lampton.
Yep.
I mean, she saw exactly what was going on, what the DA was trying to do, and said, "This is nonsense. The evidence is not there. You do not have this." But for the Hinds County Circuit Clerk's office separating those three, putting two in Faye Peterson's court and putting one in Andrea Wooten's court, but for that, Anthony Fox would have never served a day in prison. And to this day, I still don't understand why that happened. I would love to know behind the scenes how you separate three individuals who were indicted for the same thing, but you put two in one before one judge and one before another judge. And the second judge is the one that you mentioned taking advantage of the timing of that and trying to implement what she thought was the spirit of America at the time with the murder of George Floyd.
Well, I think it was her and her immediate involvement with the attorney representing the family on the lawsuit.
Right.
I think there was a lot. I think it was a big. They were going to get a big payday. And that's just my opinion. I think the timeline and the evidence.
Her former employee. Former employer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sponsor.
Yeah.
And a few other things. So
yeah. Campaign contributor.
Yeah. So very, very interesting stuff. Well, let's take a break. I was going to get Mike to tell some stories, but I thought that was such a great question about minority participation in the GOP that I wanted Mike to have a chance to answer that. So we'll punt the good stories to the next visit. Let's come back, land the plane with Mike, and we'll get ready for hour 2 here on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here with Mike Hurst as we land the plane on the first hour. Mike is, of course, the chairman of the Mississippi Republican Party. Guys, I just want to bring up a real point here. The reason for Mike coming on today more so than anything was just to remind you guys to get out and vote. We got a chance to flip a seat in the Mississippi Supreme Court and get send Jim Kitchens on into retirement and get Jennifer Branning in there for at least the next 8 years, hopefully till she's 81 years old. I don't know. But with that said, guys, here's a dirty little secret here. Did you know that if something were to happen to the Chief Justice, and rumors he ain't in the best health, Jim Kitchens would end up becoming, you'd have a Democrat Chief Justice in Mississippi if anything was to happen to the current Chief Justice. What's his name?
Mike Randolph.
Mike Randolph. Yeah. Yep. So let's just keep that in mind. We do not need that. I mean, you needed a little bit more motivation to get out today, and vote in this special election. Please get out and do that. And look, this is me talking here, nobody else. You also have the Rankin County Judge position open there. I voted for Josh McCrory. Vote for whoever you want to, but don't forget to vote for the down ballot too on any other special elections that may be on the ballots throughout the state. So.
Yeah, we've got a Mississippi Court of Appeals race down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, but one last thing on this Jim Kitchens Jennifer Branning race. This is so important, and especially for your listeners and the people that I agree with. Right now, there's a case winding its way through the Mississippi court system. And the case basically is by a number of pro-life doctors, and they're basically asking the courts to say that the state constitution does not guarantee a right to abortion. That's still an outstanding question. Despite what Dobbs and overturning Roe v. Wade, there's still an outstanding question as to whether the state of Mississippi's constitution guarantees Mississippians a right to abortion. And that's going to end up at the Mississippi Supreme Court. And I can tell you, Jim Kitchens is going to say yes.
Yeah.
And I can tell you Jennifer Branning is going to say no. And that's why this is so important. It is going to decide literally the life and death of the next generation of Mississippians.
All right, guys, do you need more than that?
Get out and vote.
Get out and vote. Look, we're standing on the shoulders of our ancestors who fought for so many of us to have this right. Do not take it for granted in this modern era where we haven't really had to fight for anything in a long time. Get out there and vote like your life depends on it, like your grandchildren's life depends on it. Mike Hurst, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, Clay.
I'll be right back in 7 minutes with Chad Wesley and Jason Turner talking a little Mississippi music here on the Clay Edwards Show. Boom, shakalaka boom. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, and all of our headphones don't always work in the studio. But, hey, that's just part of it, man. Unless we're taking phone calls, it really doesn't matter. All right, we got Chad Wesley. We got Jason Turner. We're going to get to them in 1 second here. They don't really need an introduction, do they? This segment is brought to you by our friends over at 042 Wine and Spirits. Look, guys, at the end of the day, do I need to really sell this audience on this being bourbon and whiskey weather? Of course not. Get over there, right there on Highway 80. Enjoy some great spirits from my good friends, locally owned, locally operated. They got a huge selection of all your favorite wines. We've actually requested a couple things, and they've gotten it all in stock for us, so that's always cool. But look, locally owned, locally operated. They just celebrated their 2nd year in business right there on Highway 80 next to Sonny's Barbecue in 042 Brandon, right over there near Crossgates. The real Brandon, not the imposter Brandon, not 047. Shots fired. Shots fired. Anyway, I kid. Look, check them out, 042 Wine and Spirits. They got that Trump wine in. If we don't drink it all, continuously going over there and getting a bottle of Trump wine. But the celebration has just been going on for nearly 3 weeks now, since Trump won. And that's been going on with Trump wine from 042 Wine and Spirits. But with all that said, get over there, check them out today. Check out I think they've still got a few bottles left of their Private Barrel 4 Roses bourbon. That is a special recipe for them, one of their 10 special recipes. So check that out, 042 Wine and Spirits. The Mazda of Jackson phone line. If you guys want to keep it topical and chat music this morning with Jason Turner or Chad Wesley, 601-879-0002 is the Mazda of Jackson phone line. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. I'm adjusting cameras here. I think we're better than we were last time. Somebody texted in and said Mike's camera was blurry. Thank you, Jason. A shout out to Jason Odom. Jason just had surgery. Sorry if I put your business out there, Jason. We're praying for you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate your undying support of myself and this show and this radio station as a whole. We could not do what we do without fellows like yourself supporting what we do, supporting these sponsors. You are a huge, huge, important part of this radio show and this entire radio station. So thank you so much. And also, good morning to Miss KK out there listening in Brandon, Mississippi. Always appreciate our supporters, whether you're from Brandon, Jackson, or wherever. All right, Chad, Jason, they got a big show this Saturday night. Rarely do these guys get the full bands together and do a co-headlining show where they're both playing with full bands. They do a lot of acoustic stuff around town, but we don't really promote those because just don't. But that's for the restaurants and the bars to promote. But this one is a different story. This is Big Rock Show this weekend, and we're excited to help them promote it. Guys, what's going on?
Good morning.
Elongated intro there. Introduction, should I say.
Wouldn't expect anything less. Glad to be back to shamelessly self-promote myself, and got Turner here with me now, my partner in crime.
As a guy who 99 times out of 100 has on one of his own shirts because I'm on camera, I will not frown upon anybody that's a shameless self-promoter. Speaking of which, buy FAFO.com for your FAFO shirt today.
Yeah, go to ChadWesley.com. Buy your Chad Wesley shirt today.
Absolutely.
Or JasonTurnerArt.com.
Hey, so Jason, can we? I want to start with you. Because I do not want to get so down a rabbit hole of nostalgia today, talking about all our 20-plus years of knowing each other, that I forget to mention Jason did one of the coolest things. I can't believe I'm sitting across a guy, and I know a guy that did this. Jason is a great artist, and he's gotten very well known in the comic book world and goes to a lot of these Comic Cons and stuff. And Jason is, ironically, you're probably more known outside of this area for that.
Yeah. It's a shocker when they learn how to play guitar.
That's always so funny. But so Jason got to do his own Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic, like the whole thing. You wrote it?
No. I did the cover for it.
You did the cover for it?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay, cool. So you got to do the cover.
Yeah.
And I've got a copy. Dang it, why didn't I bring my copy today to get you to sign it? But neither here nor there. I did buy a copy from Vans.
Oh, yeah.
So we're excited for you. I think that's so cool that we got a local guy here because comic books are still very popular, still very collectible, probably more popular than ever.
I was about to say they're probably more popular than ever now that they've hit the mainstream with movies and TV shows, and my kids know who it is. So it's,
and they say reading statistics are down right now.
I was in high school, you used to hide that so no one knew you had. I'd be drawing at the desk instead of listening to my teacher and hiding the comics. But now it's everywhere.
Now, how did you how did you get started in this? I mean, like, how did we pivot from music? Well, you still do music, but how did we pivot from that to dabbling into that and to get you to where you're at? Like, what was the moment that it hit where you realized you could go set up at a Comic Con and it'd be profitable?
Well, so I've always done one. That was like my first dream ever. Like my dad gave me Spider-Man and Batman when I was 3, and I started drawing then, and that's what I wanted to do until I found a guitar. But that was always my hobby. But I thought, I don't know, I always thought that you had to do a Comic-Con, you had to be like a famous artist, and you've drawn Spider-Man 7 million times, then they'll let you come. And there's a lawyer named Jay that helps me with music that I started seeing his posts that he helped out with Comic-Cons. I was like, just kind of asked him, I was like, what I need to do to get my art out there? He's like, you need to do a Comic-Con. And I was like, oh, you can do that? So that kind of was like right after the pandemic. It was right before, it's the weekend before everything shut down.
Well,
I did one and was like, this is awesome. I'm going to do these all the time. And then,
So for me, being very, very close with both of you, and both of you actually older than me by like, a solid 8 years. It seemed like simultaneously, like almost in my mind the same day, Jason hits me up, I'm going to draw comic books. And Clay hits me up, I'm going to take down the Chokwe regime. And I've like watched both of you like grow your institutions in such an awesome manner in such a short period of time. Both of y'all have taken off. It's been great. I'm still stagnant. But I live vicariously through y'all's success.
Record producer over there. Yeah. Big part owner of a studio and all that good stuff, and doing what you do. No, you've evolved into the next phase of your artistic creative life.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. But I think to say all that, like on a serious note, just that's the importance of brotherhood. To have, when you have friends and that you see they have a dream and they want to do something, you support them and like you build them up, but don't be afraid to tell them, hey, you could do a better effort here or a better effort there, because God, I've had Jason want to swing on me before, sending me like drawings, like, what do you think? Not your best work, bro. But you got to do that. That's who your real friends are, the ones that'll tell you when you're doing your best and when you're not doing your best, but championing one another.
You got to. Let's take a call real quick. I don't know who it is.
Oh, God.
I recognize the last name, but surely it's not. Surely it's not. Let's take a call. Hey, you on there?
Yeah, you know who it is. C-Note.
Boom.
This is Ray.
Boom. Dowdy.
Ray, forgive me for not texting you back last night.
That's all right.
I fell asleep. Had to be up early with Clay.
Snap a little while ago, Chad. You'll check your reply to that snap. I said the three of y'all in the same booth. Run. But yeah, it's good to see all three of y'all in the same booth this morning, brothers.
Thank you, brother. What else has been going on?
Just work, man, living life. That's it.
All right.
Three of guys that I have watched just become incredibly successful. I mean, Clay, you know how long I've known you and your family. I've known you since you were a young kid. Chad, I've watched you and Jason both since y'all began in the music business, and I couldn't be prouder of the three of y'all. I mean, y'all are three lifelong friends that I just wanted to call in and say how proud I am of all three of y'all's accomplishments, and I am honored and proud to call all three of y'all brothers and friends.
Well, we appreciate that, brother. Always good to hear from Ray Boom Boom Dowdy.
Ray got me in my feels this morning.
Thank you, Ray. I heard 20% of what you said.
Hey, Jason, you're being awfully quiet over there, brother.
Well, he can't hear you. His headphones didn't work. But him and Chad were trying to share a pair of headphones. But we got you, Ray. We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah,
I got you. I'm going to continue listening, man. I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all
Love you,
soon.
big dog.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, man.
Jason, I don't know what to do. We'll fix your headphones during the break.
It is.
We'll fix your headphones during the break. All right. So look, big show coming up this weekend. Big show this Saturday night. It's the first time since, Chad, did you say 2013?
2013 was the last time that Jason and I, with our bands, co-headlined a show, and it was at Club Magoo's.
Club Magoo's.
It was standing room only. I remember you could throw a dime in the crowd and it wouldn't hit the floor.
I don't think I was sober then. I don't remember.
I liked you so much better. Anyway, I'm kidding. No, this particular show, man, I can't really remember exactly how it came about that we were going to co-headline it. But I know that, and Clay, you know this, that I've been shopping for quite a while for a Rankin County venue because I've been running into this issue for the last few years. I've been exclusively doing my major shows at Martin's, that's where my heart's at. But I'm having so much trouble getting people to commit to coming down to Jackson because of the current conditions that it's been under for the last 10 years. So I was like, man, I need a Rankin County venue, and it was Jason brought the idea of Black Axis because he's really good friends with the owner who is part owner of Vans Comics. Mm-hmm. So we went and had to sit down with him, and man, just everything flowed together in that deal. So Saturday night, that's going to be the deal. Doors will open at 8. Turner takes the stage at 9, and I'll go on after him.
Now they're open already. I mean,
they'll
be open.
Yeah, doors open in the sense of admission will start, being taken.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, but old folks that want to get out there early, they can get out there early, and they just have to pay at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That'll be fun. You know how people handle that.
Right. People always used to love to get to the clubs early, like at 6 o'clock, and I was already here. Well, you were here for free for 2 hours. Now it's time to pay.
You miss that business?
No, not at all. Somebody, Daniel, one of our followers here, used to work security for me, was texting me the other night. He's like, man, he was trying to vision this perfect scenario for me to get back in the bar business. I said, there ain't one. There is not a perfect scenario that sees me back in. And he goes, I just think you and Chip ought to get back in. And I said, no. I was like, it just ain't happening. I was like, I am good and done. I like to be able to show up early and leave late. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Show up late and leave early.
Yes.
Show up late and leave early. And typically we'll get to wherever we're going about 7 o'clock. And I like to be leaving by 10. Like, all joking aside, I want to be back home, done with it. So I like to go places that have a crowd early. I don't want to be back in the business of starting somewhere that nobody gets to till 11 o'clock.
Man, that's that 3-hour window at our age. If you can't get your rocks off in 3 hours, just go home.
Yeah.
You need everything you need is right there in that 3-hour window.
Somebody wise years ago told me nothing good happens after midnight. And from personal experience, nothing good ever happened to me after midnight. I got in a lot of trouble after midnight.
Well, there's like also
I don't drink now, but
it's like, what's the point in having a girlfriend or a wife if you're going to go out and stay out to 1, 2 in the morning all the time? It's like, well, that's what single people do.
Yeah.
And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I understand. I understand the goal, of it when you're not doing it. I understand what the end result is. You're hoping is as a guy anyway. So I do. But if you're going to be out there, you're going to date somebody. What's the point in being out there together in the bar to past midnight?
Oh, my wife and I champion the moment that we look over at each other, and it's a Saturday night at 8:30, and we're both laying in the bed watching a movie.
Yeah,
we're like, wow, we did it. It's awesome. We're at home.
Yeah, I mean, like, every now and then it's fun to go out and have a good time, stay out late, all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, you got to get that in
every weekend. Not today, Satan. All right, look, let's take a break. Come back. We got Jason Turner. We got Chad Wesley, two icons in the local music scene around here in central Mississippi, all throughout Mississippi, to be honest, and beyond. We're going to tell some stories, take y'all a trip down memory lane or two or three, and we'll see what else we can kick over on the other side of this break. This is the Clay Edwards Show on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on the WYAB, streaming worldwide, online at SaveJXN across Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and X in 4K video. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Chad mentioned Martin's downtown a minute ago. They're actually the presenter of this here segment. Go get them for lunch today, whether it's Martin's downtown in Jackson since 1953 or the all-new Martin's Livingston location out in Madison County. Whether it's breakfast at Livingston, that's right, they got the little Martin's Market there. It's a gas station, full-service gas station, mind you. I mean, they don't pump your gas for you, but it's a full-service gas station. They sell everything in there from pocket knives to 5-hour energies and fresh, made-from-scratch Southern-style chicken biscuits. That's right, the dough for the biscuits is made fresh daily. The chicken is hand-battered and deep-fried. So go by there, grab you a great breakfast, or swing by, grab one of their great blue plate specials. Today is Tuesday. It is smoked ribs today, I believe. It's a shame that I know that off the top of my head without even having to look at the menu. But Martin's has award-winning ribs as well. So check those out, or you can order you something great off the menu like the, country fried steak. Try Calvin's Steak Bites, too. They're probably their most popular appetizer. Really, really good. That's Martin's. Of course, you're home for live music as well downtown. Always got some great national touring or local bands playing. I noticed the Jackson favorites, the Weeks, are doing their annual holiday shows here soon. Check out Martin's downtown, jxn.com for all the dates, ticket info, and more. And, of course, don't forget that Martin's is also, but wait, there's more. Martin's is also one of the best sports bars in the area. So 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to close, whatever time close is. I think it's 2 a.m. in Jackson and midnight out there at Livingston. They got all the football action on whenever there's a football game, or no football, they have all the other sports on. So swing by, check them out, whether it's a Saturday college game or a Sunday NFL game or a Monday NFL game or a Thursday NFL game. Gosh, there's football so much now. Anyway, Martin's is your destination for all that. Check them out. Martin's downtown, jxn.com. All right, Sean, dang it, I'm so used to saying Sean. Chad, Wesley, Jason Turner, welcome back. So they got a big show coming up Saturday night at Black Axe's over on the Rankin County side of the reservoir, right over there next door to Acme Pizza and Daiquiris at Fannin Mart. And let's see here. How much is it to get in?
So $30 at the door, but if you want to save $5, you can actually call and get your tickets in advance. That's at 601-398-3633. 601-398-3633. Is that how you say a phone number on the radio? I've never done it before.
Are y'all sharing backline?
No.
Full switch over.
We're full switch over, but we got a very clever way of setting it up. We got Mr. Brian Barlow of Sirius Southern Entertainment putting on the event for us with production, and it is going to look and sound incredible.
He's been on a roll lately. I went out to Cypress Point. Burnham Road was playing a couple weeks ago, and he had all the production in there, and I've got some pictures of video on my phone from it. I was like, I feel like I'm in an arena. I mean, he has not been playing games at all. I know he's also set up over there at the Brandon on Ice thing.
Yeah.
Which I need to go check that out, too. That's pretty cool. The Brandon on Ice. You can find them on Facebook at Brandon on Ice. Anyway, he is really, really not playing games, all the LED and moving heads and sound.
Yeah.
It is a rock show.
Yeah, the goal for me, which this has always been my goal, is you're going to walk in going, I can't believe I just spent $30 to get in here. I want you to walk out being like, man, I should have spent $50.
Yeah, I can't believe it only costs $30.
Yeah, I can't believe it only costs $30. That's the goal. Like, it's going to be a high production show. This isn't like your standard bar band, cover band show. Like, this is a concert. It's just going to be in a smaller, confined area, more intimate, which is the way I like to do shows. Yes, I've played on massive stages, man, but there's just something about that perfect sized venue stage where you got 150, 200 deep of people just personally connecting with everybody from the front to the back, and the production slamming. So it's gonna be quite a show. We've both been working very, very hard to build these two performances. So roughly, it's like $15 per band, two shows in one night.
No, I'm a big fan of big show, small space.
Mm-hmm.
Big show, small. That's when we had the joint. I love to cram as much stuff in there as possible. When we had 105, whatever club I had, I like to squeeze as much production in it as possible. I like to squeeze the biggest band possible in the smallest space possible, whether it was Adam Ship or 12 Stones or Papa Roach or whoever, oversold.
Man, that was a night.
And I just like
Papa Roach night.
Let's put 1,000 people in a space that really don't hold 500 and just see what happens.
Oh, I've heard the stories of you and Clay at that Papa Roach show. We can't tell those stories on the radio.
No, I actually ran into somebody the other day that drove us around for the after party, and I was like, that was you. That was you. I'd forgot who it was. Let's take a call here on the Mazda Jackson phone line this morning. Hey, you're on there? Nope, they hung up. Call back, 601-879-0000.
Them phone calls make me nervous, dude. I ain't gonna lie.
I got a little cheat sheet over here, but I don't know who. I recognized Dowdy when he called. I don't know who that was. I'm surprised we ain't heard from Eric. So we'll see. Jason, what's been going on with you, brother?
Well, we talked about the comic book world, so a lot of that. Actually, Thanksgiving night I got to go to Arkansas, and because we're releasing a comic for Image Comics that I did a cover for, but just music and art nonstop. Actually, this show is going to be fun because Joey and Sam from Pop Fiction are actually being my band that night. My band, when we booked this, my bass player lived here, and then he took a job and moved to Alabama. So, and then my drummer Chris Crawford plays with other folks. I actually booked the date before talking to him, so he was like, "Hey, dude, I can't play."
And that's kind of a written rule around here, a respect thing amidst musicians. If you're already booked, and even your main thing that you perform with calls you, you honor the booking you took first. That's just a chivalry thing.
Right.
So Jason had to put together a band last minute, and he couldn't have chose two better guys to back him up.
It'll be wild. Let's take a call real quick.
That's just me talking.
Hey, you're on
All
there.
right, bye-bye.
Hello? I don't know who she was talking to. Anyway, so that was funny.
That was just her talking.
I don't know who she was talking to. Anyway, so Chris Crawford, who's who? Wait, it's Joey and who from Pop Fiction?
Sam.
Joey and Sam? Okay, cool.
And Joey used to play bass with me many, many, many years ago, so it's kind of a easy transition to call those guys and jam with them.
A reunion, per se.
Yeah.
So, Jason, one of my favorite albums from you, I don't remember the title of the album, but it's the one that Stevie Blaze produced.
Oh, yeah. Apology on Repeat.
Yep.
We went through this the other night.
Still one of my favorite albums, and it's got some great songs on there. But I saw with Stevie and them, Lillian and Axe is coming back to Jackson to Malaco to record their next album.
Yeah, they just did
here in
last
January.
One. They did the last one there too.
So I was like, man, the kid in me, knowing that Lillian and Axe is in Jackson recording an album, used to get so excited. I was like, man, maybe I'll run into him somewhere, and I would always find a way as a kid to stalk down Stevie Blaze. This is pre-internet, of course,
Right.
Yeah.
Like, where is Stevie going? I'm going to hang out at Morrison Brothers for 12 hours. Maybe he'll come in. And
He's such a sweet guy, man.
He is such a nice guy. I mean, to grow up and get to interview Stevie a couple times and just kind of, I don't know if we're friends, but I mean, acquaintances anyway. I mean, we know who each other are. Well, he knows who I am now. And it's always like one of the cooler things. I don't care how many singers they've had. I don't care, if he's the only original member. None of that matters to me. It's Lillian and Axe.
That was a fun record to make. Actually, the studio was in an old, like, Masonic temple. Mm-hmm. And I was 99% sure that place was haunted. Like, headphones, I was doing vocals, like, hey, man, what time are they doing at that meeting? Because I can hear him talking. He's like, man, no one's met here in 50 years. I'm like, well, they're talking right now.
Where was it at?
And right at Mandeville. Close.
Oh, yeah, we're recording in
Covington, yeah. Doors shut by themselves, like big studio doors. This thing would, like, just shut itself. It was fun. Steve's great. And this thing when you're playing, like, he's playing guitar and you're recording, like, if you're messing up a part, that, like, the ego in you doesn't want to give him the guitar because he'd, like, be like, all right, and just knock it out in 12 seconds. And that's what he did.
Yeah.
but I wanted to do it, so it's like I can't mess up in front of Steve. But finally, I'd be like, all right, you do it.
He does the solo. He did the solo on the single, right? On
He
one
did
of the songs.
2 of them. Yeah, he did 2 solos on there.
That's awesome.
We'll just say it's pretty easy to spot when he's playing the guitar and when I'm
It's
playing.
funny you brought that up, though. Turner and I were having a self-indulgent night the other night where we were going through all of our catalog and stuff. And that in itself means so much to both of us that, to be artists from around here and actually have a legitimate catalog of albums, that's the reward in its own self. But we were self-indulging, going through our music, discussing how we felt about each other's material and talking about where we were at when we recorded those albums. And that was the main album of Turner's. We had a huge discussion about, with the production and what went right on that album, versus what went wrong on some of our albums. I'm actually in the process of revisioning my very first album, the Liberation LP. I'm pulling it completely from the market and doing a total revision of it. And it'll be a new named album, new album cover. I got to a point where I realized bluesy and soul rock were of such a high production quality, and Liberation just sounded like a glorified garage demo. And I couldn't shortchange not only myself as an artist anymore, but that material. That material deserved the same respect that the other did.
Well, so many artists are doing that now too.
Mm-hmm.
They're going back and with production costs being way less than they once were.
Yeah.
I guess you can spend as much money as you want to, but with Pro Tools and all the I assume that's the technology today. Maybe it's something different, but with the ability to record on your computer at the house and it sound better than But you could have done anything you could have done in the 80s or 90s. As long as you mix and master it right.
You literally today can spend 10%, of what you would spend back in the day. Nowadays, a $20,000 album sounds like yesterday's $200,000 album. Mm-hmm. Technology is very much so on our side.
Well, you also used to have to fly a band out and keep them shacked up somewhere for 2, 3, 4 months.
You can remote record stuff and fly it through the cloud, and the engineer just brings it into the session.
Yeah, I still think there's something to be said for a band that plays their stuff live on the record.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing Saturday. So when they see me take the stage Saturday night, I will have had a long day. So since I have all of my band in the area for a show, I got to take advantage of that. So we're actually getting together at like 10 a.m. at our studio, and we're going to start tracking live in the studio about the first half of that record. So around 2, 3 o'clock, we're going break up the session and go do load in and sound check at the venue.
No, like I learned the difference in tracking and playing live when I was a kid. And we used to go. They used to have those Mississippi music cons down at the Trademark Center, like the best guitarists, Mississippi competitions, and all that stuff. Those were always so fun to go to. And they had all those sessions and classes and stuff where you could go through and learn about the music business and talk to producers. I wasn't but a 12-year-old kid, but I'd sat through all that. So I know everything about the music business, except was never a part of it necessarily outside of the production promotion end of it.
And you still became a rock star.
I try. All right, let's take a break. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Chad Wesley, Jason Turner here in the studio, talking about the music business, talking about their big show coming up this Saturday night out at Black Axes on the Rankin County side of the reservoir. Maybe we'll jump back down nostalgia lane a little bit more, talk about how we all met each other, talk about some of the shenanigans that we've partaken in over the years. Who knows? We'll be right back on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on 103.9 FM WYAB. And, of course, streaming online, at SaveJXN, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and X. We got Chad Wesley. We got Jason Turner, 2 Mississippi music icons here in the studio with us this morning. Let me turn their mics back on, show them a little respect. Put a little respect on that name.
Put some respect on my name. It was at a radio station.
Hey, we were talking during the break, man, just about cancel culture. And I'm just going to pivot here. We were talking about cancel culture and stuff and South Park and all that stuff, man. And it dawned on me a little bit why I think I'm just so oblivious to some of the things that come out of my mouth being controversial. I have literally watched every episode of South Park 10 times.
Yes.
And I'm just going to offend everybody. Equal opportunity offender.
It's healthy, man. It's healthy to offend and be offended. It makes you come to terms with your own weaknesses and strengths.
I love racist jokes.
Exactly.
About every race. Mine in particular.
But hate racism, you know?
Yeah. Well, exactly.
There's
I
a
love
difference.
I love a good white trash joke.
Oh God, they're the best.
I mean, hell, I know a lot of them. Well, they're not necessarily like jokes, but isms. You know what I mean? Just like things I see along the way.
Oh, dude, every time they post one of those memes of those couples and they're like, what town are they from?
Oh, I love those.
I'm going after Morton every time.
Yes.
Every time. Being from Scott County, being from Forest, I have to. It's in my blood.
Scott County. I love. Look, so my last 2 girlfriends have been from Scott County. So there's like this joke, I guess, about me now dating girls from Scott County. I never knew anybody except you from Scott County. Apparently, I've been over there pillaging.
Jason's got a little ex from Scott County.
That was a long time ago.
I don't want to talk about it.
No, but shout out to the Scott County girls. I see y'all.
But so speaking of Morton, they've got a great ambassador in Mr. Pistol Black, aka Chase Waters. He is a great face for that community. But that is a die-hard rivalry in Scott County is Forest and Morton. See, I graduated from Forest High School.
It's the Pearl Brandon of Scott County.
Oh, but it used to get brutal.
Yeah.
Like we would go burn the T out of the interstate sign of those shrubs that say Morton. It would just say moron.
M. Dot. He's just kidding.
Yeah. Yo, it's purely
What was the date that you did that?
the specific date and time.
Statute of limitations is up.
Yeah, luckily that was before the police state implemented by the Patriot Act, so we're good.
Oh man, let's see here. We got a couple comments here. Steven says, stoked to hear you guys playing in Brandon. That is not the real Brandon. We established that in the earlier on. That is the 047. That's the imposter Brandon. Michael says, Chad, do you still talk to Yargates?
Oh my God, absolutely not.
Jeff says he's already got his ticket. So that's that one person that bought the ticket early. No, I'm kidding. Let's see here. All right, that's kind of got us caught up to date there on comments in this hour anyway. Everybody, a couple people saying awesome, hello, and all that good stuff. And,
hello, everyone. Thank y'all for tuning in.
R. Martinson, 2007 on YouTube, says Sebastopol and Candy Bone.
Yeah, so I did a stint in Sebastopol Elementary, K through 3rd, and then we moved to Forest when I went into 4th grade through 12th grade at Forest. But I lived in Lake, so I pretty much covered every aspect of Scott County. It is like no other place on the planet.
Man, I met a listener the other night. I was sitting in the tavern there, the steakhouse at McLean Lodge, Cypress Point. Met a listener from Sebastopol, walked up, said hello. I'm going to give him a shout out when I find his name here.
There are 250 people in that town.
I know. It couldn't be that many of them. I'm going to give him a shout out as soon as I find his name here in my phone. Was that Friday night or Saturday night? This is riveting radio here for you guys. And James, shout out to James. I won't say his last name on radio. Shout out to James. Met him he knows who he is, from Sebastopol. Probably the first person I've ever knowingly introduced himself being from Sebastopol.
There's only 250 of them. 239 are cousins.
Speaking of cities with weird names, I can't believe I'm about to tell the story. Somebody asked me to be an announcer at a local wrestling event a few years back, which I love. I'm all in.
Oh, that's you all day, bro.
I was like, I'll be the announcer. I was terrible at it, but before I'd ever even done any of this stuff. So my public speaking skills were the extent of, you ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here. Closing out the club as on the DJ microphone. But anyway, I kept introducing this wrestler as being from Louisville, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
Louisville. He's like, it's Louisville. It's Louisville, not Louisville. I was like, it is. You only spell this word. You only pronounce one word one way. One of y'all are wrong.
So it's Louisville, Louisville, Mississippi.
No, it's not.
Oh, please.
That's my flag and that's my line in the sand. No, it's got to be one or the other. It can't be both. It's spelled one way. It can only be one name.
It's some people around Mississippi just over enunciate everything. Louisville, like you just get every letter of it. So rich.
There's got to be one or the other. It can't be both. Other Mississippi names that I have butchered forever. I heard somebody talking about this place called Oktibbeha County, and I was like, "What in the world is Oktibbeha County?" where is that at? They're like, that's where Mississippi State's at. It's the Golden Triangle. I was like, Akatabikiaha? I was like, what are y'all talking about? Octibaha. I was like, it's Akatabikiaha.
I grew up in next to a community called Conahatta.
Yeah.
That was near Union, Mississippi. Up I want to say the northeast side of Scott County. Yeah, there's all kinds of those Choctaw names of places.
And if I am lying, I'm dying. So I lived on the coast for about a year, going to bartending school, and just wanted to live down there and some other stuff. And I had an aunt that lived in Gaucher, and I forever till about 2 years ago maybe, I thought Gaucher and Gaudier, Mississippi were two different places.
I'm still trying to figure out if Keeln, Mississippi,
Yeah,
and Kiel are
two
two.
things.
I just literally, I'm still shocked to find out that Gaudier and Gaucher are the same place. I was like, because I would have never known that Gaucher was spelled Gautier, or whatever it is. I thought it was
So funny you
I
say
thought
that.
surely it had a SHAY on the end of it.
That's where my aunt and uncle live, is in Gaucher.
Yeah, I have an aunt there too.
And in my mind, it was like some Goshay my whole life, and then I saw it on the map, and I was like, Gautier. You know, you
Gautier,
say a little
Mississippi.
Gautier.
Yeah, like even if I put the
Waited a long
on,
time for this. I'm about to make a name for myself.
yeah, like even if I pronunciated it with a little sauce on it, it was still not Gaucher.
Gaucher.
Gaudier.
Well, it's good they're rooting for Shay down there. I just worry about Michael getting killed up in North Mississippi. There is a Kill Michael, Mississippi. I don't know where these names of these towns came from. You know, everybody talks about Hot Coffee, Mississippi.
We got another one here: Lafayette versus Lafayette.
Oh yeah,
And
I say Lafayette.
Lafayette. That's funny. Tomato.
Another one people get confused: Madison and Pineapple. No, sorry, the door was open. I had to.
That's Reunion and Pineapple. Not Madison. That's Reunion and Pineapple. I have a Reunion country club shirt that I got from their gift shop when I was out there for a party one time. Not that kind of party. I was out there for a party one time, and it's actually got pineapples all over it, and it's got the Reunion Country Club logo on the sleeve. I was like, at least they're in on the joke. Or is it a joke?
Pearl and Trailer.
That shirt was awfully expensive. I mean, did I purchase my way into an exclusive club?
That's what we ought to come up with, is just a renaming of all the cities around here with what it's synonymous with. Ridgeland and Speed Bump.
The absolute best. You talk about the where they from memes. The all-time greatest where they from meme was the one that took the class that took the what was the movie where everybody was in detention on the Saturday morning?
Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club. Thank you. They took the Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah,
cast,
dude, that thing was so accurate. It was ridiculous.
And they had like Byram, Pearl, and it was like all the Tri-County area ones. They left Jackson off. I remember posting it. Somebody said, "Where's Jackson?" I was like, "Nobody's black in this." That's where Jackson's at. I mean, it is what it is. You know, Jackson's 90% black. Sorry, nobody was from Jackson in the Breakfast Club.
If no one will say it, Clay will.
I will. I will say it. Let's take our last break of the day. Come back, land the plane with these two fellas as they get ready for their big rock show this Saturday night at Black Axes. You like these jokes? They'll be telling a lot more of them on stage Saturday night. That stuff they call music. I'm kidding. We'll be right back. Wind the plane down with my good friends here, Jason Turner and Chad Wesley. Want to tell you guys, be sure to get out and do all your car shopping at one of our great sponsors here on the Clay Edwards Show. How about one down in Crystal Springs, Mississippi? That's Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge. You can check them out online, mercyhouseautocenter.com. They got you covered in vehicles anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. They got financing available for everyone, from bad credit, no credit, up to great credit. They got all kind of options available for you. What they really specialize in is why they advertise here is to help drive donations for their vehicle donation program, which helps fund Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge, which helps beat addictions and put fathers back in homes. Look no further than your closest fatherless home to see why that matters. That's mercyhouseautocenter.com. Consider donating a vehicle today. Get that tax write-off here at the end of the year. Great time to do it. mercyhouseautocenter.com. All right, Jason Turner, Chad West. We've had a good time this morning, man. It's always fun to catch up, shoot the breeze with you guys, and we'll get to do that again Saturday. Big show, Black Axes, doors open at 8 p.m. Who's playing first? Who's headlining? I know it's co-headlining. It doesn't really matter, but
yeah, because we're both doing full shows. We're
both doing full shows. Yeah. Can we expect we got about 20 seconds. Can we expect a combo? And y'all going to tag team, do a song together?
We just might. We might.
But surprises up your sleeve.
Just remember, guys, if you want to save $5 on those tickets, call Black Axes at 601-398-3633. Get your tickets in advance.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for coming in. Always a pleasure catching up. I'll be back here tomorrow for my last week of the show with Sean Yurtkaran. See y'all then. All right, online audience, thank you guys for staying and watching and participating, and I will see y'all back tomorrow. Peace out.